I think it played a particularly important role. I think we have to understand first that within South Africa, aid volumes are very small in relationship to the budget. I mean, total perhaps about 1% of the budget, and the aid from the European Union perhaps 0.3% of the budget. So it's very small. And so this forces you to think creatively about what you can actually do with these small volumes of aid in what is an upper middle income country. And I think what we've done is evolve a type of approach that in collaboration with our South African colleagues, which has in some respects found a path forward in this context. And this is based upon what we call the value-added approach. So we're trying to think about in what way, with a small volume of aid, we can add value. Clearly, we can't do the heavy lifting. We're not in Tanzania or Mozambique or Malawi, where aid represents a large part of the budget. But what we can do is add value by doing things that are innovative, creative, maybe risk-taking, catalytic, that have wider effects. And if they have those wider effects, they have a value in themselves, and they could also be replicated by the government with its own budgetary resources. So those are the underlying principle about our approach. We sort of search around from time to time about how we can describe this. It's not heavy lifting. Sometimes we call it acupuncture, but that can be a bit painful, can't it? I sort of say it's like the piri-piri or the Tabasco on the plate. Okay, this is a bit of spice that we're adding to the whole process, and this is the way in which we've worked with budget support in South Africa. So it's had this sort of, I think, innovative effect or catalytic effect, and that's the big conclusion, I think, that's emerged from the evaluation of budget support that we're discussing today. Yes, or yes and maybe is perhaps the right answer. Yes, to the extent to which we have budget support programs that are carrying on at the moment. So we have a pipeline of projects, particularly in the area of employment, education, a small amount in health. We've got a new program coming on the justice sector in terms of socio-economic justice for all. So these programs will take place over the next 2, 3, 4 years. So we have this continuation of these programs. The maybe is, do we have a future program for South Africa? As you're well aware, there's a big debate about, do we have development cooperation in upper middle income countries? Now the Commission has taken a view, and I think now we have the agreement of Member States and of Parliament, that we should have an exception to South Africa. Part of the motivation here is because, particularly from our Commissioner, has been that the apartheid history makes South Africa different. And because of that apartheid history, we need to stay engaged and working with South Africa. The other element is we have to realise here is that we have what's called a strategic partnership with South Africa. This is only one of 10 countries in the world. And this also changes the dynamics of the relationship with South Africa. So this has led to certain pressures to say, yes, despite this rule on no cooperation under the Development Cooperation Instrument with upper middle income countries, we should have an exception with South Africa. Now the debate is still going on. I believe there were discussions yesterday, day before yesterday, maybe even today. I think it's going to end positively with a programme for South Africa, and the debate will be about how much money. So there's the maybe. If we get those resources, I think given the conclusion of this evaluation, I think we can carry on with pursuing this innovative or catalytic approach to our development cooperation with South Africa using the mechanism of budget support. And one thing that's important to realise here is that it's not a view that budget support is good or budget support is bad. Very often we, in collaboration with our South African colleagues, we look at budget support as one element within a programme. So a kind of typical design today might be to have a programme which has an element dealing with budget support, an element dealing with technical cooperation or technical assistance, and an element dealing with civil society collaboration. So maybe we have a program based upon three pillars: budget support, technical cooperation, and civil society cooperation. And we try and get those three elements working closely together. So we bring civil society organisations together with government, try and get synergies and the spreading of ideas and innovation. And this is all in line with this idea that the aid should be able to promote innovative, creative, catalytic ideas. And it's not whether it's budget support or not budget support, it's whether this instrument, budget support, technical cooperation or civil society or collaboration can bring that innovation and catalytic actions to the forefront. dealing with budget support at provincial and local government level. And the huge challenge that we have there is the management of public financial management. If most of us know that one of the criteria for giving budget support is that there should be improvements in public financial management. Now we're able to achieve this quite comfortably at central government level. But what is clear in the South African context is that at provincial and local government level, the management of public finances is not at the level it should be. So I think our main challenge is if we're going to spread the use of this method, or we're going to push forward this innovative approach, is how can we get this to touch what happens at local government level in a way that we can see improvements in public finance taking place there.